The following is made possible by the Arpin Group and by Renewable Now. The International Society of Sustainability Professionals presents ISSP Profiles in Excellence, where leaders in sustainability share their experience so that others may learn. In this edition, we feature Bob Willard of Sustainability Advantage.
My name is Bob Willard. I'm an author and a researcher and a speaker, not a consultant, but actually I just do talks on the subject of how to connect the dots between what businesses are trying to do and this subject of sustainability. So what's in it for them to pay more attention to it. My claim to fame is the business case for sustainability, which I've helped monetize. But mostly I do talks. I do 80 to 100 talks a year. I've been doing this for about 15 years now. I spent 34 years in IBM Canada, and then I decided that I'd like to have fun in retirement, so to speak, doing something that I really care about. Being a member of the Hall of Fame made a huge impression on me. I'd never really thought of myself in that way before. And when I saw the other people who were a part of that first group that were inducted into the Hall of Fame, I thought, my goodness, these are the gurus that I look up to. So to be honored as a part of that force in the world of people that are doing amazing things, that was really quite huge for me. I don't think I could have thought of something else as an award or an honor that would have quite that combination of acknowledgement that I'm doing something useful, because these people really are amazing change agents, all a little bit differently, going after different parts of society to try to move the ball. But yeah, it was huge. It was fantastic. The good news is that there's no lack of challenges. There are a lot of things that we can focus our attention on, and I think depending on the things that concern us mostly personally, we've got good choices. From what I see out there, the biggest issues have to do with climate change, energy, and on the social side, poverty and human rights would probably be pretty close to the top of the list. I've been doing a lot of research on trying to figure out what a truly sustainable organization would look like if we ever found one that's fit for a future of a scarcer, hotter, more crowded planet. And we've come up with 28 goals. And if I could zero in on a very tight subset of them, it would be those three. What are we doing about climate change? What are we doing about human rights? And what are we doing about poverty? And I think business has a huge role to play in addressing those issues. It's not the job of business to fix the planet, but it certainly is the job of business not to contribute to the problems. And if they want to be more proactive, they can help solve them. But certainly, the do no harm part of the Hippocratic Oath applies to business. And for the last 250 years, business has been doing some wonderful things, unfortunately at the expense of the planetary nest in which we are living. And they're starting to boomerang. Those impacts are starting to boomerang back on business. So they're aware that there's a risk to business if they don't do things differently than they've been doing before. And that's a very important hook. The risk card as a change agent, playing the risk card, I think, is something that we need to get better at doing as sustainability professionals. It's not a lack of knowledge that's getting in the way of progress on this. It's a lack of will. We know exactly what we can do. We know exactly how to do that. We know exactly what we should do. But the lack of political will to enable, to incent, to put into place policies and regulations that require that level of change seems to be the stumbling block. The system and the status quo is extremely, extremely hard to change. So I think as change agents, we have to get a lot smarter about how we pull the different levers that can change the system that has worked so beautifully for the last 250 years since the start of the Industrial Revolution. There's a lot of vested interests in that system, which aren't going to change easily. And therefore, we have to be a lot smarter, a lot more competent on how to be change agents. Knowing the right answer is not the answer. Knowing how to get other people to make the changes to allow that answer to be implemented, that's the challenge. Yeah, well, the Hall of Fame induction was a wonderful point of pride in my life. And then there are very incidental things where I have conversations with people at events like this conference that are very serendipitous. They're people that may have taken a course that I've done for ISSP, the core course, or read a book, usually years ago. And they come up and they kind of acknowledge that this made a big difference, not only in terms of their body of knowledge, but in their lives. And I'm thinking, my goodness, that's huge, you know? It's the intrinsic rewards that are probably bigger than the monetary rewards. You know, I've got a business model that works pretty well. It allows me to do what I want to do and at least break even, and it's pretty good. But the intrinsic rewards of every once in a while getting a bit of a ping back from somebody that for whatever reason, something that they read or heard me say made a difference to the way they were thinking, the way in which they were conducting their lives, and that's kind of cool. Yeah, there are more and more young people who are expressing a very strong conviction, passion for what you and I would call sustainability, and that's fantastic. They're graduating from university and they've learned some things that are useful to them, and they see a different way of doing things, and they're looking for a way to leverage their efforts. And that's the holy grail of all of us, to find a match between a way to make a living, have a good quality of life, and do something that we really care about. And that's ridiculously rare in the business community. But a lot of young people, thank goodness, are being a little bit more adamant that that's the combination they're looking for. Some of them think that their passion for sustainability will cut it, that that's enough, and it isn't. It's great, but it's not enough. It's just the starter set. What we don't want is a lot of passionate people going out there and screwing it up worse than it already is. So what we really need to do is make sure that they have the knowledge base, that they understand what needs to be done. They know how to do it. They can help organizations assess how they're doing on their journey, that they know how to help them get further along that journey, that they can expedite that, they can increase the pace of it without ticking people off. How to be a change agent and the art of change is not trivial. And I think the beauty, to me, of what ISSP is doing is it's trying to help people marry their passion with how to be an effective change agent, a credible change agent, that you know what the heck you're talking about. You understand the issues, you know what you're talking about, and you know how to lead change. And if you can bring those competencies together and energize them with the passion that people brought in the first place, I think we can do what needs to be done. I think people are ready for this. The change agents are ready to become more effective as change agents. The people that need to change what they're doing, I think, are a little bit more, for a whole bunch of reasons, a little bit more prepared to sit still long enough to listen and to consider things they'd never thought about before. So the timing of all of this is ideal. I think we've got a readiness factor here that you could not have possibly orchestrated better. And to have organizations like ISSP, whose mandate is to ensure that these change agents are well equipped to do what needs to be done, using the body of knowledge that you've crafted together, the way in which you can convey that to people, the way in which you energize them with the projects that you encourage them to do as part of the core curriculum. I think you're a force. You don't know that as much as I think you should, but you are a force. And there are 3 or 4 different groups that are doing those kinds of things that I think we can add to the momentum of as we really increase the ability of people to be more effective change agents. There are so many people in the sustainability arena, many of whom are in your Hall of Fame, that would be on my list of heroes, of people that have inspired me. Alan Akesson from Sweden, the style that he brings to being a change agent, the way he connects with very senior levels of government and international government, the guy is really a wonderful combination of an upbeat approach to these issues, which probably makes him a little bit more effective than some of the others that are a little bit more on the downside of not doing it. He's really, really good. So he's one. Amory Lovins would be another one. Ray Anderson, who had the courage to make a real mid-course correction, as he would call it in his book, on what interface was doing and how they were doing it. They're heroes because of the courage that they brought to the table, that they saw something that needed to be done, and they had the guts to take it on. Even if they didn't know how it was going to work out, they just decided it was the right thing to do. That's a rare combination. Some of them had the luxury of being able to do that. Ray was in charge of his company when he made that or had that personal epiphany, as he called it. But yeah, the heroes to me are the people who say, okay, enough. We need to do something. And I think I can learn from that. Once you decide that something needs to be done, then you need to figure out how the heck you're going to be a useful contributor to that. And that's the real challenge of how to find out where your circle of influence is and how an individual, I'm only one guy, how can I possibly change the world? No idea, but it sure is fun doing it.
Visit sustainabilityprofessional.org for more about profiles in sustainability excellence and other exciting programs from ISSP, the world's leading professional association of sustainability practitioners.